Well, Korea is moving on in the World Baseball Classic. They take down Australia in a thrilling game to punch their ticket to the quarterfinals. Plus, we talk NFL free agency, a bunch of really great WBC coverage. It's been a fun weekend of sports news, and it's going to be another fun week as the World Baseball Classic continues, as NFL free agency is heating up, as the NBA and NHL seasons are wrapping up, and it's March Madness. It's almost time for the NCAA tournament, and we have a ton of college basketball stuff happening this week as well. So this is going to be a really fun week of sports as we kick off one of the greatest stretches of sports we've had in a while. But first, let's talk about the World Baseball Classic, and specifically, let's talk about the Korean team that just clinched their spot just earlier this morning. I was fortunate enough to wake up to watch part of this game as South Korea taking down Australia with the exact amount of runs that they needed, right? The way it works, if Korea had won, and they did, it would have been a three-way tie at 2-2 between Australia, Taiwan, and Korea. And the way it works with the tiebreaker is it depends on how many runs you've allowed within those three games. And so for Korea to move on, they needed to win by at least 5 runs. That's the way it worked. Or else Korea needed to score 7 runs. Or else Australia would have allowed fewer runs because Australia shut out Taiwan. So Australia had the advantage there. Korea needed to score at least 7 runs, but they couldn't score 8. Because if they scored 8, then Taiwan would have won. If Korea had won 8-3, that is. And if Korea had won 8-2, they would have won. But they needed to win by at least 5, and Australia couldn't score more than 3. So the only way Korea could have won was if it would have been 5-0, 6-1, 7-2. That's it. Or, 6 or 6-0, 7-0, 7-1. There's like 5 possible scores for Korea to win. Anything higher than that goes to Taiwan. Anything lower than that goes to Australia. So Australia gets in an early hole. Korea scores 2 runs in the second, courtesy of a Bo Gyung-moon home run, his second of the tournament. And then in the third, Jung-hoo Lee with an RBI double to score 2 runs. That makes it 4-0. Then you get to the 5th inning. Korea scores again. You got Bo Gyung-moon again with another RBI. And then Australia finally strikes. It's Robbie Glendening who hits a home run to make it 5-1. 6th inning, Korea makes it 6-1 as Do Young Kim with an RBI single to score Dongwon Park. So it's 6-1 Korea. They're thinking, okay, that's great, because 6-1, that's one of the few scores that does advance you, right? That's one of the few scores that works. But then, immediately from there, here comes Australia. Bottom of the 8th inning, Max Durrington is on base, and here comes Travis Bazana, who has one of the greatest RBIs in Australian baseball history, as he drives in the second run of the game. So Australia is still down by 4. It's 6-2. But it doesn't matter, because if you're down 6-2, you're moving on. Korea needs to add that 7th run, or else Australia, despite losing by 4, they would end up moving on to the quarterfinals for the second year in a row, and Korea would miss it for the 4th tournament in a row. So Korea knew exactly what they needed to do, right? They knew exactly what they needed to do. They needed to score 1 run in the top of the 9th and then not allow anything in the bottom of the 9th. So here they come, top of the 9th, and it's Hyun Min An who hits a sacrifice fly to score the winning run to make it 7-2. That would not have happened unless Australia had not made an error. That's right, Australia made a throwing error with 1 out and 1 on. I guess it was their second baseman, I believe, or their shortstop. It was their shortstop, Jared Dale, 25-year-old shortstop for Australia, makes a throwing error, and that ultimately cost his team, not the game, they would have already lost, but it cost his team the ability to move on to the quarterfinals. I'm gutted for Australia, but I'm very excited for this South Korean team. This is a talented Korean roster. They've got, I believe, 5 major league players on this roster. And a lot of really, really great KBO guys on that roster as well. I do think Korea is a top 8 country for baseball in the world, so I'm happy that they get to move on. I'm happy that they get to qualify. They will finish 2nd place in Pool D. Japan, of course, currently undefeated. They are going to finish 1st place in Pool D, and they take on Czechia later tonight, and they are most likely going to win that game to be 4-0. But yeah, really good stuff for Korea. I'm really pumped for them. It would have been crazy to see if they had missed the tournament, the quarterfinals, for the 4th straight tournament. That would have been really devastating And we may have had to have that conversation about the state of Korean baseball. But the fact that they won, they move on, and now they're going to have an opportunity to pull off another upset. I shouldn't say upset. I mean, Korea hasn't pulled off an upset yet. They beat Australia, who they should have beaten. They beat Czechia, who they should have beaten. And they lost to Taiwan, which I think that was an upset for Taiwan. But all that to say, good for Korea. They are moving on. Now, we did have a true upset yesterday. This would be the second real upset of the tournament. Panama against Canada. Canada really was excited about the team that they brought. They got a big league lineup: Denzel Clark, Owen Casey, Bo Naylor, Abraham Toro, Otto Lopez, Jacob Young, Tyler O'Neill, Josh Naylor, and Edward Julian at the top of that lineup. And they are starting out with Jamison Tylone on the mound. Canada was very happy about the team that they brought to the table in these Olympic Games. But Panama has been sneaky. They lost by 2 against Cuba, and then they got walked off by Puerto Rico. So they have lost their first 2 games, but they've only lost by 3 points, and they've only allowed 7 points total in those 2 games. Then they come up against Canada and Panama, the sneaky Panama team. They weren't going to go down without a fight. Bottom of the second, though, Abraham Toro gets the scoring started with a double, an RBI double to score Otto Lopez. Panama's pitching staff, they were starting Jaime Barria, who he does have quite a bit of MLB experience. Hasn't pitched in the big leagues since, I believe, 2023, but he's been there. He's done it in the big leagues. He was once a starting pitcher for the Angels, and he's getting the start for Panama yesterday. And he goes 3 2/3 innings, allows 2 earned runs. Bottom of the fourth, Denzel Clark keeps it going for Canada with an RBI single to score Bo Naylor, but Panama answers back. Luis Castillo with a single to score Edmundo Sosa. And this Panama team, they have some solid major league talent. I mean, Edmundo Sosa, Luis Castillo has a lot of minor league experience. Christian Bethancourt has a lot of big league experience. Miguel Amaya, Jose Caballero out there at shortstop. So it's 2-1, Canada leading. And then in the 6th inning, here comes Panama with James Paxton on the mound for Canada. He makes a throwing error and ends up really struggling. The veteran James Paxton, who I don't believe has signed with another team, this might be it for his career. He allows Ruben Tejada to single, scoring Jose Ramos. That makes it 3-2. I'm not sure where that second run came, but I'm just I forget what happened there. I guess it was a 2-run single. He scores Jose Ramos and Christian Bethancourt. That makes it 3-2 Panama. And then Enrique Bradfield Jr. comes to the plate. He singles to score Miguel Amaya. Ruben Tejada goes over to third, and then it's 4-2 Panama. So Panama takes a 4-2 lead. All 3 of those runs were earned off of James Paxton. All 3 of those runs were unearned off of James Paxton, but he was the guy who made the error. We can go to the bottom of the 8th. Canada makes it close. Owen Casey with a double to drive in Bo Naylor. Now it's 4-3. Could Canada get anything going in the 9th inning? There was a rain delay, and in the 9th inning, Panama sends out their closer, Dario Agrizal, the 31-year-old, who has not pitched in the big leagues since 2019 when he started 14 games for the Pirates. But Dario Agrizal comes out there for Team Panama, and he shuts it down. He shuts down the top of Canada's lineup. He sets them down in order: Julian, Naylor, O'Neill. Jacob Young ends up striking out to end the game, and that was it. So Canada has been upset by Panama. Panama stays alive at 1-3. They play Colombia today. If they beat Colombia, they'll be 2-2. Then they just have to hope for a tiebreaker scenario. The possibility of that would be if Canada and Cuba and Panama all tied at 2-2. I don't think Puerto Rico is going to lose their next 2 games. They play Canada and Cuba. I guess it's possible. So there could be some chaos in this pool. This is Pool A. Panama is, again, a really scrappy Panama team. Finally earning that win. It was a gutty win. They played some small ball. They took advantage of some errors. They took advantage of James Paxton being pretty old and not very good anymore. And they get the win that they've been searching for. So yeah, we'll see. Panama, they should beat Colombia to get to 2-2. I believe they should be favored in that game. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's where we're at between Canada and Panama. I feel bad for the Canadians, but man, I mean, that was a rough one. Team Italy took on Team Great Britain in a European showdown last night, and this one was way too close for comfort, I think. Italy was hoping to kind of blow this team out, and that's what it was looking like early in the game. It looked like Italy was just going to take an easy lead and roll with it, much the way that they did against Brazil. Now, Great Britain actually got the scoring started. In the first inning, a couple of wild pitches allowed Great Britain to score their first 2 runs. Dylan DeLucia, the Italian starting pitcher, he absolutely struggled with a couple wild pitches. Britain takes the 2-0 lead, but after that it was all Italy. You got Andrew Fisher with a home run to make it 2-1. Then J.J. D'Orazio with a home run to make it 2-2. Bottom of the 4th, Andrew Fisher with an RBI single to score Zach DeZenzo. That makes it 3-2. Then he got an RBI double from Miles Mastrobuoni to make it 4-2. And then Dante Nori with an RBI single to make it 5-2. And then in the bottom of the 5th, Sam Antonacci with an RBI triple. That scores 2, makes it 7-2. So Italy takes a 7-2 lead in the 5th inning. And at that point, it looks like Italy is going to cruise. But then in the 8th inning, something interesting happened. Great Britain ends up loading the bases. Jazz Chisholm with an RBI single to score Nate Eaton. B.J. Murray on a stolen pitch, B.J. Murray steals second on a wild pitch. And then Jazz Chisholm scores. He steals home on a wild pitch. So then that's 3 wild pitch runs for Great Britain. Remember, they had 2 in the 1st, 1 in the 8th. Now it's 7-4. Italy leading 7-4. They still, okay, you're okay, you're leading 7-4. They bring in their closer, Greg Weissert, who's a Boston Red Sox. The Boston Red Sox, I don't think he was their closer last year, but he threw 72 games. He was very good for them. 2.82 ERA last year for the Red Sox with 72 games. So he was very good for the Red Sox last year. And Greg Weissert comes in, and immediately he loads the bases up in the 9th inning. They did intentionally walk Jazz Chisholm, so that wasn't necessarily his fault. But here comes to the plate Harry Ford. And Harry Ford, if you don't know Harry Ford, he is former Seattle Mariner first-round draft pick. He was on the roster last year. He didn't play much because Cal Raleigh and Mitch Garver were also both on that team. So he was like their third. He was just their emergency catcher. But he's been traded to the Phillies. To the Nationals. He's been traded to the Nationals. He's going to probably be in the mix for that, at least to be their backup catcher this year. But here comes the 23-year-old Harry Ford to the plate with the bases loaded, game on the line. I mean, if he drives in some runs here, he can really crack the door open for Britain, right? But he does not. Harry Ford ends up flying out. It was a good piece of contact. It was actually, he made good contact, but it just goes straight to the Italian left fielder. And so Italy does sneak out the win in this one. They get it was 7-4, and it honestly felt even closer than that. For Great Britain, that means they're going to have to play Brazil. The winner of that game will not have to requalify. The loser of that game will have to requalify. So they're both 0-3. And Italy, they keep the pace with the United States and Mexico. All 3 of those teams are 2-0. So for Team Italy, could they make a sneaky run? They're going to have to get an upset, but they did save their 2 best pitchers for those 2 games. It'll be Aaron Nola against Team USA, and it'll be Michael Lorenzen against Mexico. So that's going to give them a fighting chance. I would still say Italy probably pretty heavy underdogs, but I wouldn't say it's out of the question that they could pull off an upset with Nola and Lorenzen going on the mound for them. And again, it's a pretty good lineup. They have major leaguers all over that lineup. Dominic Canzone's been good. Mastrobuoni, Pasquantino. They got Vinny P. They got Jack Caglione. They got Dante Nori. So this is a solid lineup. Zach DeZenzo's been good. I'm interested to see what this team can do and to see if they can actually make some noise or if they're going to go down and lose their next 2 games. We'll have to see. Now, before we get back to the World Baseball Classic, I want to talk about some NFL news. The Kansas City Chiefs making moves today. Kenneth Walker is going to the Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl MVP from the Seattle Seahawks. This is a bummer for me. I'm a big Seahawks fan. So this sucks, man. Kenneth Walker going to the Chiefs. I'm not sure what the contract is. It sounds like it's a 3-year deal. Chiefs, yeah, they need to get 3-year, $45 million. That's what it is. He is now one of the highest paid running backs in NFL history. The deal includes $28.7 million in guaranteed money. For the Chiefs, yeah, it makes sense. They are trying to beef up that running backs core. They didn't have very good running backs in 2025. They kind of struggled offensively, and they struggled especially in the run game. So now he's headed to Kansas City, and I think Kansas City's pretty happy with what they're going to get out of Kenneth Walker. He's a really, really strong running back. There's incentives that could push the total even higher than he's at. It's a major investment for the Chiefs, but Walker's young. He's only 25 years old. I wish the Seahawks would have done this. I really wish the Seahawks would have made this move to keep him around. I get why they don't want to do it. They want to save their money to be able to pay some other guys. They want to pay Jackson Smith and Jigba. They want to pay some of their O-linemen. They want to pay some of their defensive guys. So I get why they aren't making this move. But it's going to suck to not see him in Seattle. For the Seahawks, they're probably going to have to draft a running back, honestly. I don't see them paying for another one of these free agent guys. I think they will keep Zach Charbonnet for at least one more year, but they're probably going to have to draft a running back this year to make up for this loss. K9's really good, and he proved it in the playoffs. He had one of the greatest playoff runs of all time for any running back. I do think that makes him slightly overrated. I don't think he's necessarily as good as we saw in that playoff run. But still, for the Super Bowl champs to lose their Super Bowl MVP and star running back to the Chiefs especially, it hurts, man. It hurts, and it's going to hurt the Seahawks, I think. We'll have to see how they bounce back. And also for the Chiefs, another Chiefs news, Travis Kelce, he is back with Kansas City. How about that? He's officially made his decision. He's going to return to Kansas City for another year. And I guess I would say he should probably play 2 more years. My thing with the Chiefs for this year is I just don't think Kansas City is going to be I don't think they're going to be competitive, especially early in the season. Now, if Mahomes does come back healthy right off the bat, then maybe he'll be all right. Maybe they'll be all right, and maybe they will contend right away. I would probably guess that won't happen, though. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's going to take a full year for the Chiefs to get back to where they were. Mahomes, is he going to start the season? I don't know. Is he going to start the season healthy, or is he going to start the season like that? That's all stuff that we need to consider here. And so that's why, for me, I think it's going to take 2 years for the Chiefs to get back to where they need to be. The other thing there, though, is for Kelce, does he really want his last season with the Chiefs to be a season where Mahomes is not fully healthy, a season where they're kind of retooling, they've traded away some defensive pieces? I would say he probably would not want that. So that's, again, why I would say Kelce should probably come back for 2 more years and not just 1 more year. So I would guess this is a 2-year decision. I don't think he wanted last year to go out like that. I think he certainly would like to go out on top. He wants to be a champion. He wants to go out on top. So I get it. I get why he's doing it. And so I hope that it works out for him. Even though I'm not a big Chiefs fan, I hope they don't win another Super Bowl. But I hope he can. I hope that by the end of the day, Kelce can retire and feel content about it. And clearly, he's not content about it right now. He wants to go out, chase another ring. I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. So we'll see. We'll see if it works out. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Chiefs will come back and win the Super Bowl next year. They did just sign Kenneth Walker, so that'll help. No more NFL news. It does sound like Tua Tagovailoa will be released from the Miami Dolphins. He is not expected to return to Miami. The Dolphins officially going to eat that money, eat that contract to move on from Tua. It makes sense. It makes sense. Tua, he wasn't winning enough. He just wasn't doing enough in Miami. To make that money and to earn that contract. And so, interesting to see what they do here. I mean, I don't really know what the options are for a team like Miami. You could try to go get a guy like Kyler Murray to fill a season, because it sounds like he's also being released by the Cardinals. I don't know. Which teams need quarterbacks? I mean, the Raiders need a quarterback, but they're going to draft somebody. Same with the Jets. The Vikings maybe need a quarterback. And then it's like Cardinals, Dolphins, and maybe the Steelers, because we don't know about Aaron Rodgers. So there's like 4 teams right now that might need quarterbacks. There's not a whole lot of guys that are available is the thing. There's not really a free agency class for quarterbacks this year. Kyler Murray is probably the best guy available, and the Cardinals didn't want him. So I don't know if the Dolphins would either. It'll be weird. It'll be weird without Tua, but it makes sense. I get why they do it. I get why they would move on from him. Go back to the World Baseball Classic, though. The Dominican Republic continuing to cruise. They absolutely handed it to the Netherlands. 12-1 was the final there. They get mercy ruled in 7 innings. The Netherlands really struggled. I mean, Didi Gregorius, he hits a home run. That was the only runs they scored in the 2nd inning. This Dominican Republic staff is good, man. Luis Severino goes 4 innings, allows 1 earned run. Albert Abreu comes in for 2 innings. And then, Abner Uribe comes in to close out the game in the 7th. 12-1 is your final. Dominican Republic, just absurd what they were able to do. Fernando Tatis goes 0-1, but he walks 3 times and scores a run. Ketel Marte, he also goes 0-1 with 3 walks, scores 3 runs and an RBI. Juan Soto, 1-3 with 2 walks, 2 runs batted in, 2 runs scored, and he did hit a home run. Technically a walk-off home run, because it was his home run that made it a 12-1 game, which ended the game early in the 7th inning. You've got Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He goes 2 for 4 with 3 runs batted in and a run scored with another home run as well, a 2-run blast. Manny Machado goes 1 for 3 with a run scored. Junior Caminero continues a very impressive tournament. He hits his second home run of the tournament, going 2 for 3 with 3 runs batted in and a run scored. Julio 0 for 2, but he walks twice and scores a run. Austin Wells 1 for 4, 2 runs batted in, 1 run scored, and he also hit a home run. And then Eric Gonzalez going 1 for 4 and scoring a run as well. So just a very dominant showing for Dominican Republic, who is, of course, now 2-0. For the Netherlands, they're 1-2. They stay alive. They're going to play Israel in their last game. I don't think the Netherlands is going to advance, though. In fact, Venezuela already beat them. So actually, I think the Netherlands is out. I think the Netherlands is out. They will qualify. They do get to automatically qualify, though, for the next tournament. And they'll have a chance to make it a 2-2 finish. If they can beat Israel, which they will be favored to beat Israel. But, man, I don't know who's going to beat this Dominican Republic team. If USA and Japan, those are kind of the only two teams I think could stop the Dominican Republic in this tournament. And as if that blowout wasn't enough, Mexico said, hey, I see you, Dominican Republic. I'm going to do you one better. Mexico handing it to Brazil 16-0 in 4 innings. This is the worst beating that any team has taken so far at these World Baseball Classics. As Brazil, the same Brazil team who was down 8-5 against the United States in the 9th inning, they lose 16-0 to Mexico. Mercy ruled. It was just awful showing for Brazil. For Mexico, they were impressive. Kenneth Walker gets to start 3 1/3, no earned runs. Then they go to Roel Ramirez out of the bullpen, and then Alexander Armenta. Mexico's pitching staff is kind of thin, but so far it hasn't mattered. Jaron Duran, 2 for 3, 3 runs batted in, 2 runs scored. He hits a home run, also hits a double. How about Randy Arozarena Jr. going 1 for 2 with a walk and 2 runs scored. He also cracks a double. And then Jonathan Ornelas, who comes in replacement of Arozarena, he goes 1 for 1 with 2 runs batted in and a run scored. And in fact, I believe, did he hit a home run? Yeah, he did. He hit a home run in the 6th inning. That actually ended the game for Mexico, as that was the home run that put them over 15 runs, which ended the game early. Jonathan Aranda, he goes 1 for 3 with a run scored and a run batted in, as he also adds it. What did he? I guess he hit a double. You got Alejandro Kirk. He goes 2 for 3, 2 runs, 4 runs batted in, and Alejandro Kirk hit his first home run of the tournament. Rowdy Tellez going 1 for 3. Nacho Alvarez Jr. going 1 for 3 with 2 runs scored. Nick Gonzalez going 2 for 3 with an RBI, a run scored, a walk. He had a good little game. Alec Thomas, he had an amazing game. He goes 3 for 3 with 3 runs batted in, 2 runs scored, and a walk. As Alex Thomas, he contributes a home run to the fold as well in the 6th inning. A 2-run blast in the 6th. And then Joey Ortiz, he goes 1 for 3 with a run scored. I mean, everybody was playing at the top of their game for the Mexican team. This offense was brilliant. Do you blame it on Brazil just having a terrible pitching staff? Probably. But my goodness, I mean, the United States couldn't. The USA failed to do that to Brazil. Mexico handed it to them. So I'm really interested to see how the Mexico-USA game is going to go tonight. I think USA will win. I think the USA should win. They have the pitching advantage for sure. But offensively, Mexico looks incredible. They are hot. They are doing it. And Mexico is a solid contender in this tournament. I mean, I think Mexico could easily be a semifinal team. The way they are playing, I might argue that they are a top 4 team in the world right now. They might be the 4th best team in this tournament behind the United States, Japan, and the Dominican Republic. I think you could argue that, and I don't think you'd be wrong. Venezuela would want something to say about that for sure, and we're going to talk about Venezuela later. But right now, man, Mexico looks really good. Now, Cuba and Colombia, Cuba's tournament continues to Colombia's tournament continues to be a massive disappointment. Colombia has really struggled in this tournament. Cuba took an early 4-1 lead in the 1st inning and just rolled with it, courtesy of an Ariel Martinez home run that made it 3-1 for them, and then Arizbal Arrubarrena also with a home run to make it 4-1. And then Cuba adds 3 more in the 6th. Colombia tries. They scored a couple in the 7th inning, courtesy of Tito Polo with a hit by pitch with the bases loaded. Donovan Solano, I believe, scored a run there and may have driven in a run as well. So it ends up being 7-4. Colombia had their chances in this game, but man, it's a tough one for Colombia. This has been a tough tournament for them. people thought Colombia would be better than they are. They got Michael Arroyo at the top of that lineup, Donovan Solano, Harold Ramirez, Gio Urshela. They have some names, but it's just not good enough right now for Colombia. They fall to 0-3, and they are going to have to beat Panama if they want to avoid having to go into a requalification period. Right now, I don't think Colombia would be favored to win that game. Meanwhile, for Cuba is a sneaky team, man. They're 2-0. They're right now, they would be in the quarterfinals. Now, they're going to have to beat Canada, and right now, Canada versus Cuba is shaping up to be a potential elimination game. Canada is the better team on paper. Cuba does not have nearly the Major League experience that Canada has, but Cuba just has dudes who compete, and Cuba did make the semifinals last year, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them. If they could beat Canada, it would be an upset, but it wouldn't be, I don't think it would be that big of an upset. I think it would be an upset that a lot of people might even predict, because that's kind of where we're at with this Cuban team. I mean, this is a good Cuban team. It's a good roster. It's a lot of powerful guys. They're very strong, so I could totally see Cuba making some noise, and you know what? We'll see what happens, but yeah, again, I could definitely see Cuba making some noise. And in more breaking news, Israel against Nicaragua, not breaking news, I'm sorry, but in more World Baseball Classic news, Israel defeating Nicaragua 5-0. They shut them out. It sucks for Nicaragua. Nicaragua was so close to getting their first win against the Netherlands, but they just could not get anything going against a pretty good Israel pitching staff. Dean Kremer going 4 1/3, 1 walk, 2 hits, and then they turn it over to a solid bullpen. Tommy Kahnle with the save. The Israel offense looked good. Spencer Horwitz gets a hit, scores a run. Harrison Bader with an RBI and a run scored. And some incredible defense out there in center field for Harrison Bader. He is kind of their star guy. And then shout out to Cole Carrig, Rockies prospect. I guess, has he played in the big leagues for the Rockies? No, he has not. He's a prospect in the Colorado system. He had a really good game. He goes 2 for 4 with a run scored and RBI. And then also shout out to Noah Medlinger. Noah Medlinger, has he played in the big leagues? He has not, but he's a Cardinals prospect. I guess he's a 25-year-old in the Cardinals system. Noah Medlinger going 3 for 3 with a run scored, an RBI, and a walk. So he had a nice game as well. So for Israel, they win. They're 1-1 now. They're going to have to win their next 2 games. It will be an uphill battle. They have to beat the Netherlands, and they're also going to have to beat the Dominican Republic. They're probably not going to win either of those games. Most likely Israel will go 1-3 to finish out the tournament. But they do beat Nicaragua, which means they're not going to have to re-qualify, which is very helpful for Israel. And we have some more breaking news in NFL free agency. Alec Pierce, he is back with the Colts officially. Alec Pierce returning to Indianapolis. So possibly potential. A lot of people thought he was the best free agent wide receiver on the market this year. Well, he is now right away off the market. It is a $116 million deal to remain with the Colts. Apparently, the Colts they're going for it. They want to keep Pierce. They want to keep Daniel Jones as well. 4 years, $114 million with the ability to reach $116 million. $84 million is guaranteed. Apparently, that is the biggest deal ever for a free agent receiver. Okay. He has led the NFL in yards per catch each of the last 2 seasons. So I get that, and he is only 25 years old. He's coming off of his first 1,000-yard season. However, let me ask you, do these numbers sound like worthy of getting the highest paid receiving contract ever? Again, highest paid ever. Yes, he led the league 21.3 yards per reception last year, 22.3 in 2024. However, he's only had one 1,000-yard season, which was last year. He went for 1,003 yards and 6 touchdowns. His approximate value was 11. He scored 7 touchdowns in 2024, 824 yards. I just don't see it. He's going to be 26 years old. Is he really worthy of being the highest paid receiver of all time? I don't think so. Good on him, for taking advantage of the market and getting paid, but it seems to me like that's a crazy thing to pay for Alec Pierce. But the Colts, you know what? They're going for it. They want to keep Pierce around. They want to keep Daniel Jones. They're hoping that transition tag will work to keep Daniel Jones around, and then we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes for them. And you know what? Maybe the Colts will finally make it back to the playoffs. I mean, I just feel like the Colts have been fighting a losing battle for a while. And speaking of the Colts, they've also made a trade because Michael Pittman Jr. is headed to the Steelers. Apparently, the Colts deciding, yep, we're going to pay Alec Pierce to get rid of Michael Pittman. So here comes Michael Pittman headed to Pittsburgh. It looks like the Colts, I'm not sure what the Colts are going to get. Let's see if we can figure that out. Let's see. The Steelers have extended him for 3 years, $59 million. So he gets a new deal as well. He joins a receiving core that already features DK Metcalf. So Pittman is not going to be the number one guy on that offense, but he'll be the number two option. I still can't see what that trade is going to be as he heads into his 7th season in the league. A good trade for Pittsburgh to go get a new wide receiver too. Honestly, I feel like the Colts would be better off if they had kept Pittman and Pierce, but they want to save that money, so I get it. And I guess nobody's reporting what the trade is going to be for, so I can't tell what they are giving up. It's probably going to be, if I could guess, it's probably a mid-round pick, probably a third round pick, maybe fourth-round pick would be my guess. I think that's about what Pittman is worth on the open market. So, yeah, good for the Steelers getting a good trade, and I think the Colts might actually regret this one. The Arnold Palmer, Invitational wrapped up yesterday, and the American Akshay Bhatia took the win with a -15 par. There was actually a huge playoff. Bhatia going against Daniel Berger. Both of them were 15 below par. They had a 4-hole playoff with Bhatia ultimately winning 4-5 in that playoff. So he gets number 1, Daniel Berger number 2. Cameron Young taking number 3, so a lot of Americans up top. He ties with Ludvig Aberg out of Sweden. He was 12 under. Both of them were 12 under. At 11 under was Colin Morikawa, the American. And then a lot of guys who are 10 under, including Min Woo Lee out of Australia, as well as Russell Henley out of the United States, and Sahith Theegala out of the United States. So USA doing very well for themselves in this tournament. Adam Scott was 6 below par. Now, a lot of the big names didn't really compete in this one. You got Maverick McNeely, 5 below par. Victor Hovland, 5 below par. Jonathan Vargas, 3 below par. But yeah, a lot of the big names kind of sat this one out. Xander Schauffele and Scottie Scheffler both tied at 2 below par, so they both struggled in this one. Schauffele and Scheffler, 2 of the better golfers in the world. And both of them struggling quite a bit, as well as Hideki Matsuyama, one of the best Japanese golfers. He struggled. He was 1 above par in this tournament. Andrew Putnam, 2 above par. Chris Kirk, 2 above par. And Tommy Fleetwood, 6 above par. He really struggled in this one, the English golfer Tommy Fleetwood. As far as guys who missed the cut, not a whole lot of huge names that didn't make the cut. Jason Day missed the cut at 4 over. Patrick Cantlay missed the cut at 4 over as well. That's kind of a big name. Justin Rose, he misses the cut at 6 over. And Justin Thomas also misses the cut at 14 over. Rory McIlroy, he was 4 under. He ended up withdrawing, but he was playing well until he withdrew. So that's how this one went. Pretty easy tournament. Jordan Spieth did pretty well. He was 6 below, but ultimately it was Akshay Bhatia who gets the win in the Arnold Palmer Invitational. On the cross-country skiing World Cup stage, Johannes Klæbo did it again in Lahti, Finland. He is so good. In the men's free sprint event, he wins it, beating out fellow Norwegian Lars Heggen and Frenchman Jules Chapaz. But Johannes Klæbo, what a performance. He takes the gold, and Lars Heggen, his fellow Norwegian, taking the silver. Klæbo with a time of 2 minutes 49.84. He was 0.42 seconds ahead of Lars Heggen in that one. And then in the men's 10-kilometer interval start, who else but Johannes Klæbo? He wins it again at 23 minutes and 22 seconds. He wins the 10K. He beats out, again, fellow Norwegian Martin Lostrom Njenge, who also got the silver in this event to him in the Olympics. So pretty much a repeat of what happened in the Olympics. Meanwhile, independent athlete Saveli Korostlev finishing third. He was 33 seconds behind, so it was not even really a race. Kleibo was way ahead of Niangay. He beats him out by 22 seconds in just another incredible race. Then for the women, in the women's free sprint, Sweden taking the gold and silver. Jonas Sundling out of Sweden finishing first, and Lynn Svan finishing in second. German Coletta Ridzek in third, 80.84 seconds off. And then in the women's 10K interval start, United States getting on the podium as Jessie Diggins gets in there. She gets her bronze medal. I believe that's her 90th World Cup medal of all time, so she continues her impressive season in what I believe is going to be her final season on the World Cup stage. Lynn Svan gets a second silver medal in this event, and then Frida Karlsson with the gold. She takes first place, beating out Svan by 4 seconds. Jessie Diggins was only 6 seconds off. She was in it the entire time, and a good race for her. Congratulations to Jessie Diggins on what has been a really impressive career. Yeah, it is her 90th World Cup podium for the Team USA, and again, this is one of her final races, I believe, because I don't think she's going to do it again next year. I think this is it for her. Her 90th career, her first 10K Classic Interval Start World Cup race. She's made 379 starts, 90 podiums. She's never finished worse than 10th in a race this winter, and has a top 10 result in every Classic start of the season. She is currently leading in the overall World Cup standings as the season enters the final stretch. So she is just doing very well for herself, and congratulations to Jessie Diggins. But also congrats to King Kleibo. What a performance. What a skier. Finally, the Luge World Cup final happening over the weekend, and it was Tobias Wendel and Tobias Arlt who win their 7th Crystal Globe in the World Cup and the men's doubles race for Team Germany. Meanwhile, Austria wins the group relay. And Austria also, I believe, winning for, they took silver for the men's. So yeah, Germany and Austria, they are the two best at luge, so, it makes sense. But that's where we're at. Austria, Germany, continuing to win at luge. And again, this sport is, we talked about it last week, this sport is kind of starting to die out on the world stage. Olympics is even considering getting rid of it. I'd like to keep luge around. I think it's fun. I watched a little bit of this. I watched the team relay portion, and Austria versus Germany versus Italy. Those three countries were really going at it, and it was kind of a fun. I think they should actually add that team relay event to the Olympics. It's kind of a fun one, and I don't think they do that at the Olympics. So maybe they should consider that. But that will wrap things up for this show. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. This has been another episode of Coast to Coast Sports. We'll see you tomorrow for all sorts of more news. There's already more NFL breaking news that I'm missing, so we'll have that out for you guys tomorrow. But again, this has been Coast to Coast Sports. See you later.